Welcome to the channel. This video is going to be a basic understanding of how to use auto body filler, and we're just going to call it Bondo. It makes it a lot easier. There's probably be several parts to this video series, but it's just going to be start to finish, common sense, easy to understand use of Bondo. So let's get started. Okay, here's the Bondo I've been using for years. It's made by Evercoat, Rage Ultra. There's a few different variations of this type of Bondo. They don't sponsor me, I just like their product. I've been using it for probably 25 years. Whatever type of Bondo you use, it's fine. There's not too much difference from one brand to another. They all got the same chemicals, maybe mixed a little different proportion, but this stuff works real nice. It sands easy to apply. So right off the bat, you should wear rubber gloves to protect your hands from the chemicals. There's probably more than half of this can has been used up. Now, depending on how long your Bondo's been sitting around, you'll notice a resin on top of it, a little oily surface. This one doesn't look too bad, but you always want to keep this stuff stirred up. And I just use a paint stick. It's just like a can of paint. Factory puts all these different chemicals in there to make this, and they will separate over time from sitting, so it's important to keep it stirred up. Another thing, as you use your can of Bondo, you'll leave a lot of residue on the sides, and every so often I come in and I scrape all that down. Otherwise you're just wasting it if it just sits on the sides, and it'll kind of dry up in there. And if you wait too long, if you wait till the can's about empty and then decide to do that, some of this stuff might be dried out and it'll never mix up. It kind of gets real doughy. As I use the Bondo out of the can, I like to come through and just keep this cleaned out. Scrape it down, work it from the bottom up, get everything stirred up best you can. And it's important also, keep the lid on the can when it's not in use. If you're working in a body shop, you'll go through the Bondo fairly quick, but it could still dry out. Don't let it sit on a bench with the lid off for a long time, overnight or even all day. And what I do is just set the lid on there. You don't need to hammer it down tight every time, but that way you keep most of the air out of it. Another thing you don't want to do, using a paint stick to put your Bondo on your mixing board. When you're done with it, don't just let it sit there on the bench and next time you use it, you just grab it. The Bondo on the stick will get all doughy. You'll put it back in the can. Now you got those lumps in there and they're just not going to mix up right. When you're done with the stick, you can scrape it off with your spreader. And then I'd use lacquer thinner, wipe it off with a rag. Keep it clean between uses. All right, next, let's talk about this hardener. If this stuff sits around for a while, it'll separate also. You go to squeeze some out and you'll get mostly liquid because it's separated in the tube. Here's another one I've got, and I've been kneading this up. You want to just mix it up by hand in the tube, just start squeezing it end to end. It should come out nice and, like toothpaste. Just make sure you keep this mixed up too if it's been sitting for any length of time. Next thing I want to cover is a mixing board. You want something that's nice and flat and smooth to mix your Bondo on. I've had this for years. It's a particle board. I don't even know where it come from. But this works real nice. It's handy. It's about the right size. You'll get chunks on here that dry up that you don't really get clean. And I'll just take and run a sander over it every so often. Keep it nice and smooth. And now lately I've been using these mixing boards with the tear-off sheets. And these are real handy because you don't need to clean anything up. You mix your Bondo on there and you're done. You just peel it off. Start with the fresh one. So these work real nice. The only thing with these, you have to buy them when they run out. Years ago in a trade publication, I read an article and the guy said, don't use cardboard to mix your Bondo on. The cardboard is made with a waxy surface and it can get into the Bondo and cause problems with it. I never did really believe that. And then when they started coming out with these, some of these, depending on the brand, it almost feels like it's just a piece of wax paper because they are fairly slick. Make sure it's a clean surface so you're not getting dirt or residue from old Bondo mixed in it. But about anything you want to use to mix your Bondo on, it's fine. Next thing I want to talk about is the Bondo spreaders. There's plastic and steel, and they both going to do the same thing. It just depends on what you're using them for and how you like using them. And I'll still use plastic more than the steel ones. Usually the two bigger ones and the steel is what I use. And for the plastic, it's rare I use a real wide one. Even on bigger areas, I still like just to control the smaller plastics. And I'll take these and I'll cut them down. If you need something a little bit narrower than this, I'll cut them with a razor knife or tin snips or something, but make them fit for whatever I'm doing with them. And with the plastic ones, usually I'm putting my thumb in the middle and fingers on the back side and kind of bowing it a little bit, because when you're spreading the Bondo, you want to keep a little bit of an arch to it. You want to have a little bit higher where you want to fill, so you're not pushing it down into the dent and going too far and you have to put another coat on. And then you can still put more pressure to smooth out your edges. The steel spreaders work good too. They got a little bit different feel to them, and they're going to apply the Bondo a little bit different, so it's just on personal preference, what you get used to and what you like. I'll put the link for these products in the video description. In the next video, I'm going to cover a very common problem with Bondo, and that's pinholes. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it was somewhat informative. Thanks for watching.